for Edmonton Meadowlark.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to rise today to speak to Bill 28, the School Amendment Act, and I want to thank the Honourable Minister of Education for bringing this piece of legislation forward. Madam Speaker, we were elected 2 years ago based partly on our commitment to strengthen the education system across our province. Of course, we've had many discussions around the importance of our government's promise to fund enrollment growth and build new schools throughout the province, but we must also work to enhance the legislation that governs the system as well. It's important to recognize that the School Act has served our province's communities for over 3 decades, and I believe that through Bill 28 and through its amendments to the current Act, we will be able to address many of the complexities within the Act that have become somewhat outdated, ensuring that the legislation meets the needs of our communities now and into the future. Madam Speaker, I can tell you that through the conversations I've had with educators, parents, and the wider Meadowlark community, I've heard many great ideas about how we can modernize our education system, and the amendments within Bill 28 address many of the concerns within the current Act that have been brought forward to my office. As a government, we must do our best to address the changing needs of our communities. The way in which the province delivers education and the fairness in how it is delivered is of the utmost importance to my community and to all Albertans. Among the changes to the School Act contained within Bill 28 is the proposed establishment of school transportation cooperative agreements, which would encourage cooperation between school boards to ensure efficient transportation for our students, sharing transportation services where possible. This is an idea that has come up often while considering this legislation, and even before then with my constituents, and I'm happy to see it move forward. We also see changes proposed to the school transportation walk limit, which would eliminate the antiquated 2.4-kilometer restriction on bus services taking effect in the 2018-19 school year. Once again, I have heard from many people in my community that having children walk anywhere near 2.4 kilometers every morning and every night to receive transportation services is simply too much, especially when we look at some of the complexities within my community, like Westview Village, which is measured from the front of the manufactured home community and doesn't take into account those who live near the back of the massive property. And there's no doubt that these changes will have a positive impact on the families in my community and for others across the province. Bill 28 also specifies that school boards will be required to develop and implement a code of conduct that applies to school board trustees, recognizing that these trustees play an important role in leading our education system and should have established guidelines much like the ones laid out for municipal councillors under the MGA, or the Municipal Government Act. Bill 28 will set a consistent standard that a student must be 5 years of age as of December 31st of the year they're entering into kindergarten, something we've heard broad support for, I believe, at least on this side for sure. Right now, the age at which a student may start kindergarten is set individually by local school authorities and varies across the province. Consistency across all boards will ensure fair and equitable education for all students, of course taking effect in September 2020 to allow school boards and parents and families to plan around these changes. Bill 28 will also allow the Minister of Education to set standards for the education service agreements to ensure that students are able to access the provincial education system on equitable terms no matter where they live throughout the province. In cases where students live on reserve and want to attend schools in a public, separate, or francophone school jurisdiction, an ESA is signed between the First Nation and the school authority or school authority. These ESAs vary across the province, and as a result, once again, these agreements are not consistent. Having standards for these agreements will ensure accountability and will remove some of the barriers that exist when students on reserve look at their choices for education while maintaining and allowing continued opportunities for First Nations and school authorities to collaborate into the future. Madam Speaker, within Bill 28, we also see changes to increase collaboration and transparency for the public in the process around establishing separate school districts. This would ensure, once again, a consistent approach with standardized timelines and specific steps throughout the process. It will also encourage all parties to work together. We also see within this legislation updates to financial reporting requirements for private schools to bring them in alignment with practices within our public system. While many private schools already provide this information to Alberta Education, this would ensure all of that except public dollars are subject to consistent financial reporting expectations and would ensure greater accountability for the public funds that go into all of our schools. It's important to note that for the 2017-18 school year, there would be no changes, and this regulation, once put in place, would take effect in the 18-19 school year. Madam Speaker, I am very supportive of the amendments proposed within Bill 28. Through the changes that I have discussed and other changes to the School Act, we will ensure that the professionalism and dedication demonstrated by educators across our province will be supported by legislation that is being updated for the 21st century. These changes will go a long way in terms of addressing some of the challenges that have presented themselves within the current School Act, and I believe the implementation of this bill will result in stronger collaboration, more transparency, and better service delivery to many Albertans that rely on our education system while making the system more fair overall. I know that the Minister has spent a lot of time consulting with educators, parents, and all interested stakeholders in the development of these amendments, and I believe it shows through the common sense changes that have been put forward. I'm happy to stand in support of Bill 28, and I hope all of my colleagues will do the same. Thank you.